Okay, so today is notes 9.4, creating box plots. So today is about the 5-number summary and stats and how we make box plots. Now you may know it as box and whiskers plots. They kind of mean the same thing. So let's get this party started. The minimum, we've talked about the minimum before, but with data, it's the smallest number. Quartile 1 is the median of the first half, right? Or the middle of the first half. The median is the straight up middle number. Quartile 3 is the middle of the second half of data. Now that I've said quartile like 6,000 times, I can say it without struggling. Then we have maximum, which is the largest or biggest data point, okay? And then we still have our IQR, which is still going to be like quartile 3 minus quartile 1, okay? So a box plot. So this is a box plot. So the minimum is your smallest number, and that's where we'll draw the line. Quartile 1 is our middle of our first half, and we'll draw a line. The median is the middle number, so we draw a line. Quartile 3 is the middle of the second half of data, so we draw a line. And then a max, we would draw the line. So all these lines, and look at this. There's one, where's my mouse? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 datas. That's why it's called the 5-number summary. And we have to find those 5 numbers. Now quartile, so this is important. So do some type of something so that you recognize this. Quartile 1 is 25% of our data. The median is 50% of our data. Quartile 3 is 75% of our data. And if you notice above here, each little section of data is worth 25%. And if we have 4 25%, that means that this whole thing is 100%, okay? All right, so we're talking about goals in a hockey game, and I already put the data in order for you because you guys are really good at that. So I'm not gonna force you to keep doing that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with finding the minimum and the maximum, and I'm going to go rainbow order again. So my minimum number is 2, and this is kind of the order you should maybe, let's write this out. The order you should find your data. So let's write this. All right, so first we're going to find our max and min. Second, we would find our median. Third, we would find Q1 and Q3. And then fourth, we would find our IQR. Okay, so this is like the order we should look for our data in. So we already found the max, or minimum. So now let's find the max, and the maximum is the last number here, which is an 11. Then we want to find our median. So this is where we're going to have to count how many pieces of data we have. So I'm going to use my goals in the hockey game. So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 17. Okay, so we have 17 pieces of data. So if I wanted to find the middle, I would kind of have to start from the outside and work my way in because I need to make sure I have the same amount of data on both sides. So I'm going to get rid of these underlines here. And I'm going to slowly work my way in. And I'll use my highlighters for this just so I don't accidentally cross something out. So we got 2 and 11 are partners. Then we have 3 and 8 are partners. Then 5 and 8 are partners. Then 5 and 7 are partners. Then we have 5 and 7 again. And then we have 5 and, oh my gosh, 7 again. Then we got this 6 and 7, and then we got 6 and 6. All right, so our middle number, because we have an odd number of numbers, right? If there's 17 numbers, that means we're going to have one middle. And so I do, and this time it's a 6. So my median is a 6, and look how colorful that is. That's pretty sweet. All right, so I have 6 numbers. Now I need to find my quartile 1. So I'm going to get rid of these highlights here. And so quartile 1 will do in blue is going to look at this first half of data. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 pieces of data. So we are going to have to average the middle 2. And so the middle 2 would be right here. Here's the middle, right? 4 on this left side of this, and then 4 on the right side. So that's the middle. And I have to take the average of these two to find quartile 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 5 plus 5, which is equal to 10. And then chop that in half, divide by 2. So my quartile 1 is a 5. Whenever you have to find the average of the same number, okay, like 5 and 5 here, your quartile should end up being 5 like that, okay? If it's a different number, something has gone horribly wrong. It's only when they're different numbers that you'll get something, a totally different number or a decimal. All right, so let's look at quartile 3 here. So this was Q1. This helped us to find Q1. And so halfway between, there should be the same amount, 8 on this side. And I have 7 and 7. So once again, I have 7 and 7. So that's going to give me 14. And when I chop that in half, it should still be 7, right? And the reason why we are dividing by 2 again, in case we don't remember, is because, look at this. We have 2 numbers. So that's why we divided by 2. Again, we have 2 numbers. So that's why we divide by 2. And it's only when we have even data that we do this. Then for interquartile range, we take our Q3 minus our Q1. So our Q3 is 7 minus our Q1 is 5. That's an ugly 5, but it's a 2. All right, so here's all of our data, but hold up. This was a 6, you guys. Nobody said anything. This was our median. My goodness. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to count out my number line that I have provided to here. And I'm going to start with 2 because 2 is my minimum. So I got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And that's 11's good because that was our max. So let's start filling this out to create our box plot. So let's start with our minimum. So our minimum is the first line we'll draw. Then we have Q1, which was this 5. Then we have our median, which was 6. And then we have 7, which was our Q3. And then last but certainly not least is our maximum, which was in orange here. So here's our max. Now what's going to happen is we are going to make a box between Q1 and Q3. And then we kind of draw just nice straight lines towards maximum minimum from Q1 to the minimum and then Q3 to the maximum. And that is how you make a box plot or a box and whiskers plot. The whiskers are the lines that you see there. These lines. This is why it's called box and whiskers, is because it kind of looks like, you're making a little bit of kitty cat notes here. Let's hop to it. Let's hope I don't forget numbers. Okay, so here are test scores, and I already have the data listed out for you. So there was 145, 446s, a 47, a 48, a 50, a 51, 253s, 254s, and 255s. Our minimum, again, you want to do your order. You want to do min and max. Then you want to do your median. Then you want to do your Q1 and Q3. And then you want to do, last but certainly not least, your IQR. Okay, so minimum, 45. That's our smallest number. Maximum is our biggest number, which in this case is a 55. Our median, well, okay, we got to figure this out. So let's count how many points we have. And I'm going to use the test scores. I'm going to use this guy to help me count because I get lost with all the numbers. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 numbers. Okay. So we got 15 numbers here. So it's odd, so that means we should only have one middle. All right, so I'm going to do what I did last time. I'm going to work from the outside in. So I got, these are our partners, then I work a little bit further in, and then I go closer to the middle, and then I'm getting closer. And I'm switching up my colors so you guys can see what I mean by partners here when I'm looking toward the middle. And then see how that 50, that lonesome 50 all by itself, that's our median. So let me write that down so I don't make a boo-boo like I did the last problem. So that's a 50. Let's make that actually look like a 50 instead of like an almost 60. Okay, so lovely. All right, so we found our median. Lovely. So let me get rid of these highlights here because I can cheat like that. And now we need to find quartile 1 and quartile 3. So here's we're looking for quartile 3, or 1, good gravy. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we have 7 pieces of data, which means we should have, so we have 7 numbers here, which means we should have 1 middle. And I'm writing this out because I had some students struggle with this a little bit. All right, so my middle, I can do the same thing, right? I can like count my way in like I did last time. And I should get a 46. Now I had a lot of students just kind of guess and check until they found the right one. But the only way you'll know that you have found the middle is by seeing if you have the same numbers on each side. So see how this has 3 numbers here and then 3 numbers on this side. So that's how I know how I found the middle. And you can do the same thing for when you find the median. Okay, Ms. Rawolf, we get it. So 46. And then looking at this other side, finding the middle, I'm going to do this fast, is quartile 3. This is a 54. Ms. Rawolf, are you sure? Yes, I am, because look, there's 3 numbers on the left side and 3 numbers on the right side, so 54 has to be smack in the middle. Because again, it should be 7 numbers, just like the other side, but it's got 1 middle for when we find the quartile 3. All right, then the IQR, the most funnest, is Q3 minus Q1. So we got us a 54 minus a 56. And let me look at my cheat sheet on my notes here. That means we got an 8. Whoop. All right, so I'm going to draw out my number line here. So we should start with 45 because that's our minimum. And let's just count our way up. I did provide you with the correct amount of lines you need for each of your box plots. I had to double check that because I never trust myself. Okay, so let's write so we got our we start with our minimum, then we have our Q1, which is at 46, and then we got our median, which is a 50. Ooh. And then we have our Q3, which is 53. Hey, that right? No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. You guys, did you catch that? It's not 53. It's 54. Okay, and then we have our maximum 55. Okay, so now we're going to draw a box. So our box connects Q1 and Q3. The box kind of represents the interquartile range. Then I'm going to connect Q1 and the minimum with a line, connect Q3 and the maximum with a line. And there we are. There's our box plot. So our interquartile range in this looks huge compared to the last example. So this one's kind of got a big ol' range for the interquartiles. All right, so example 3 is a frequency table, and I'm going to kind of talk about this because I saw a lot of boo-boos with this last time. So remember, frequency tells you how many you have. So this is saying that I have 3. Nope, see, even I read it backwards sometimes. This is telling me I have 2 3s. So when I listed out, I got 2 3s. And then this is saying I have 6 5s. So I'm going to have 6 5s. And so on and so forth. I'm going to erase this, but just keep remembering that means how many. If you need to like write it out like how I just did, 2 3s, that's fine. Just remember, frequency tells you how many of the number in front of it you got. All right, so minimum is a 3, maximum is a 10. and then we have to find our middle. So this time for our goals in a hockey game, we have 17 numbers. Well, let's write that over here. Boop. Hopefully you didn't write it in pen. So I'm going to put it over here. So we have 17 numbers, which means we're going to have one middle. Okay, and I'm going to find it fast this time because I'm getting a little tired, a little lazy. So this is going to be our median. Miss Ralph, how do you know? Well, I'm going to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, see, thank goodness. All right, so I know my median is 6, so I need to write that down before I forget and write the wrong number. We know already, because we just counted out, that there are 8 numbers on each side. Okay, why am I writing this? Because now I know I'm going to have 2 middles. Boop, right there. Miss Werewolf, how do you know that that's where that line goes? Well, 4 numbers on this side, 4 numbers on this side. So that means I'm going to use these 2 numbers to help me find my Q1. So 5 plus 5, just like last time, is still 10. But chop it in half, though, and that gives me a Q1 of 5. Looking at the other side here, I am going to chop this one in half, which is right here. Thank you for sound effects. And we got 4 numbers on this side, 4 numbers on this side, so we're golden. Okay, but we got to be careful because we have 2 different numbers to make up help us find our quartile 3. So what we're going to do is 7 plus 8, which gives us 15. Chop that in half, and in my calculator, it gives me a decimal, and that's okay. It's a 7.5. My IQR is going to tell me how big my box is going to be. In my box and whiskers, my gosh. So I have 7.5 minus 5, which gives me 2.5. I'm going to start filling out my number line here, starting with my minimum of 3. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. My minimum in this case is a 3, so I'm going to draw a line there. Then we have Q1, which is at a 5. And then, here, I'll even write this out. I don't want to keep that. We got a median of 6. Ooh, okay, quartile 3 is a 7.5. So my line's going to be right in the middle of 7 and 8. Make it look like it's the middle. Don't be lazy. And then we have a maximum here at 10. Now, our box shows us our interquartile range again. So that's where our box goes from Q1 to Q3. And then we got these lines that connect, like whiskers, to our minimum and our maximum. Just so you know, there's like a harder version of doing box plots that we are not going to do. We're keeping it basic like this. I love example 4 and example 5 because it's asking you, can you read a box plot? All right, so I'm going to color it up. I feel like I've been humdrum with my colors. So we're looking for the minimum. My smallest number here is a 7. Sometimes box plots look like this guy. Then I'm looking for Q1. Whoop, this is my Q1. What would this be? Well, I'm gonna say this is like 7.5, right? It's halfway between 7 and 8, 7.5. Next up, we got our median, which is a beautiful 9. And then we got us, let's do pink. We haven't seen a pink in a while. All right, so this is my Q3, and this number is a 10. Very nice. And then that biggest number over there on the side here, hiding out, is our maximum, which is an 11. The IQR, well, I can figure that out doing some math. So let's see, our Q3 was 10 minus our Q1, a 7.5, which gives us a 2.5 for our IQR. Wasn't that nice? Sure was. Let's look at another one together. All right, so our minimum, this is our minimum. And what number is here? Well, let's see. I'm going to say, because there's not a tick mark in front of it, so maybe it's a 31.5, right? Because that next tick mark would have been about right here for 31. based on how the tick marks are already going in this box plot. So I'm going to say it's like a 31.5. I wrote 31 in my handwritten notes on the side that you cannot see. So I would have taken that too. All right. Next up, this next line represents Q1, and this Q1 here was 42. Oh, that's why I wrote 31, because this number line is counting by 2. So halfway between 30 and 32 is a 31. Did anybody else catch that? Because I totally forgot. Okay, I see you. Hard problem. Okay, then we have our median here. See, sometimes this is why we use pencil. All right, so our median, 48. This next line here represents, let's bring pink back, Q3. And so this line right here, I don't know. So this would be 50. I'll take 51 if you write 51. I'd be okay with that, because that means you know that you're getting closer to 52. Technically, it's probably like a 50.5, but I'll take 51 if your guesstimation skills aren't super duper. And then we have a max, which is 56. And then we got to figure out the IQR, which is like the box, right? Our IQR kind of is the distance this box makes. So 51 minus 42, because that's Q3 and this is Q1, which in my notes says 7, but that doesn't feel right. It feels like it should be a 9. Yeah, it's a 9, right? 42 plus 9 is 51. Yeah. Okay, that's the end of this video. Please go do your homework. I believe it is only 3 problems, but you're going to have to put your numbers in order. Okay, so just be careful with that. The first one's probably the most numbers. The second problem's only has a handful of numbers. And then problem 3 is just like examples 4 and 5 that we did on our notes just now. So have a good evening, and I'll see you next time.